Good evening. Everybody hear me okay? How's the volume? Good? Good? Okay. I'm Angela Mettler. I'm an administrative assistant in the president's office at South Dakota Mines. Thank you for coming tonight. Steam Cafe is a partnership between us, Haycamp, and South Dakota Public Broadcasting. We appreciate their support and we appreciate your support as well. This is broadcasting live on Zoom right now. For those of you attending on Zoom, thank you for coming as well. There will be a Q&A at the end of tonight's presentation. So whether you're here in the room or attending on Zoom, you can ask questions. Those of you who are attending on Zoom, you can type it into either the chat or the Q&A box, and I will make sure they get asked at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to tonight's presenters, Dr. Tim Masterlark, who is the Mickelson Professor of Geology and Geological Engineering at South Dakota Mines, and Dr. Scyller Borglum, who is a Mines alumna and a Vice President at WSP USA. So, take it away. Thank you, Angela. Much appreciated.
Well, good evening. It turns out I'm wired two ways, both with a mic as well as some espresso before coming here. So it's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm Tim, and this is Dr. Borglum, and we would like to take this opportunity to share with you a concept of what we call primal skills and confronting global challenges eye to eye. So this whole concept began a few years ago with the Jefferson Science Fellowship. I was selected by the National Academies and paired with the Department of State, and they placed me with the Bureau of Diplomatic Security. Need to in the light. Oh, okay. Okay. Situational awareness. Thank you. Yeah, okay. And so I expected, okay, Bureau of Diplomatic Security, they're interested in my geophysical skills and they want me to do risk assessments with numerical modeling. And so we packed up our things and moved to Washington for a year and began the odyssey with the Bureau of Diplomatic Security. And it turns out what I got was something entirely different. They asked me to immerse myself in the culture of the agents of diplomatic security. And these are some amazing people who work behind the scenes in places all over the world, in countries you don't hear about. And their job is to create space for diplomatic relations in some of the most lawless places on earth. So these folks at diplomatic security are focused on what we call the X. The X is where bad things happen. It can be something accidental, it can be something intentional, but nonetheless, the X is something to pay attention to. Best case is to avoid the X. Keep yourself out of trouble. Keep yourself out of situations that could do you harm, or if you're stuck with it, the concept is to own it. Take vicious, decisive action and make sure that you come out on top and mitigate the X and turn it around into something else. So I took all of this training, it was a great experience, came back to the university and realized with a university STEM ed, like South Dakota School of Mines, we do a fantastic job of training our students in the technical skills. We also do a great job of preparing them with soft skills, things like how to speak with people, how to work in a team, skills that employers want. But there's a gap, and this gap is the primal skills. The primal skills are what I had been paying attention to for that past year with the Bureau of Diplomatic Security. This primal skills, I'll call them situational awareness. And here I just want to stop. Situational awareness, what does this mean? Social experiment number one. If everyone would please close your eyes. So close your eyes. Point to the exits in this room. Okay. Okay, now open your eyes. A couple of you were quite successful. I saw people pointing to both exits. Excellent. Do you do that intentionally when you walk into a room?
Yes.
And where did you learn that?
Actually, Boy Scouts.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back to the Boy Scouts, but that's dead on. Now, you don't have to be a situational awareness, all right? So where are the exits? So there's a door you came in. What's an alternative way out in case things go wrong? And you don't have to be weird about it. You don't have to, sit with your back against the wall like, Wild Bill, Hickok or anything like that, but just to understand you've got options. And we'll come back to what these options can mean for you later. But specifically, they help you with the concept of run, hide, fight. If you get caught on the X, you've got these options: run, hide, fight, and these are what you're faced with. And it's not either one or the other or the other. Sometimes it's a blend of these. Sometimes you can take that vicious, decisive action and turn it around. So maybe you have to fight in order to run, or in order to hide, or some other combination. Primal skills of personal responsibility, making sure you're ready to act, making sure you're ready to be an observer and aware of your situations, making sure that you have the right equipment with you so that you can be responsive and take care of yourself. And finally, the mental toughness. It's hard to be prepared everywhere all the time. And you have to be consistent, it's constant, it takes mental toughness and that kind of mindset to prepare yourself for when things go wrong. Turn it over to Dr. Borglum.
Thank you. So I am here representing industry, and I am a proud alumna of South Dakota School of Mines. I have lived all over the world, and I keep coming back to South Dakota because this is exactly where I want to be. Unfortunately, this is the one state that doesn't really have any petroleum to speak of, and since that's what I do for a living, I fly to Houston quite a bit for work, but I always come home to Rapid City. What do I do in industry? Well, a big part of it is meeting with clients, meeting with people from the federal agencies, meeting with members, men and women from Congress. I meet with new clients, I meet with established clients, utilities, you name it. What I do requires that I be on my game all the time because I need to meet every one of my customers where they're at. I do not expect them to meet me where I am at. That means I show up every day not knowing what to expect, but knowing that it's going to be a good time. In order to do this, because as you can imagine, this is physically and mentally demanding, I have to take really, really good care of myself. I don't have a job, I have a career. A job is what you use to pay the bills when you're in school. It's great, but there's really no upward mobility. A career is something that you can take off in and spend your entire life enjoying and developing and getting better at. So what I do, it isn't just clocking in and clocking out. My career is with me all the time. And this is how we actually want it for our graduates, that once Tim is done with them, he hands them off to me, right? Symbolically, the academy hands them off to private industry and says, go forth, do great, and send money back. So this is what we want for our students. And in order for them to be successful, at a bare minimum, they need three things. Number one, they need sleep. They need opportunity to sleep, they need quantity of sleep, and they need quality of sleep. And that may come as a surprise to you, but I will guarantee you, those of us who get our sleep, and I count myself among the militant of getting my sleep every night, we can go out and deliver because our businesses are paying us for our creativity. And you lose that if you don't have good sleep. You also have to have good nutrition and avoid the poisons. This is a challenge in America. Just because stuff is legal doesn't mean it's good for you. And when Tim was talking about the personal responsibility part, that's that making a decision. Okay, what am I putting in my body, and is it fueling me to do my work that I want to do so I can have the kind of career that I want to have? And then lastly, exercise. Now we all have our favorite kinds of exercises, but I will tell you, burpees, push-ups, and deadlifts, those are something special.
And I'll jump in here. So it's almost oddly specific. Why those three? Why not walking or swimming or something like that? And it turns out this comes right out of diplomatic security. Burpees, push-ups, and deadlift. You remember run, hide, fight. When you think of a little kid playing hide and go seek, there's one person who's it, and what do the rest of them do? Boom, they're gone. What does that mean? They run. They run. So they're running. So they have to be able to run. Okay, and run on a moment's notice. Now, as a kid, that's just what you do. If you watch them, that's the way it is. Hide. So they don't just run and stand there, they have to hide. So maybe they'll get down and hide. And when the it person goes by, they'll pop right back up and go hide somewhere else. Okay, I just ran and I just did a burpee. So run, hide, fight in the event that something bad happens, like in a foreign place or something like this, maybe a shooter comes through the door. Okay, run, hide, fight. Those 3 exercises will give you the skills to be able to accomplish that mission of run, hide, fight. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think for me, what's important about these 3 is, number one, they can be done anywhere. So again, I travel all the time. Sometimes there's a fitness center in the hotel, sometimes there's not. But I can guarantee you every hotel room has just enough space to do burpees, push-ups, and deadlifts. And these are 3 very, very powerful moves that engage the entire body chain. They're called full body chain moves. And if that's all you have to start with, you can do it barefoot and in your underpants, okay? You really do not need any special equipment to do these exercises and take good care of yourself. And then I am extremely excited to let you know that I received a call from my publisher today, and my book on STEM study habits, which talks a lot about this, and what you will be hearing today is coming out later this spring or early summer. So be on the lookout for that.
Okay, I've got my mic here, yeah. Okay, so let's get after it. Let's take a few examples of the X, what that can look like, and what the response might look like to either avoid it or to get you out of it if you're stuck with it. Okay, a little bit of background, when things go wrong, we all like to think that we'll rise to the occasion. And the Die Hard movie is classic. Some people call it a Christmas movie, but I call it an X movie. Great stuff, but what's the reality? We don't rise to the occasion, we fall to our training. So, going back to, are you eating, are you sleeping? This helps you prepare physically and mentally. Are you doing those exercises? Are you ready to run? Can you do a burpee? Can you get down? Can you get up again off the ground? You're going to fall to your level of training. That's the reality. So these are some shots from the Mines campus. This one's today. And we pride ourselves at Mines because our students are focused on the mission, and that's doing their coursework and being amazing scientists and engineers. And I think sometimes the interpretation of that mission can be a little misguided. And it's on one hand, it's a joke, but it's also a point of pride that these are my feet looking down at the sidewalk. Here's a flyer. Now, it's not for this STEM ed or for the STEAM Cafe, but it's for some student group, some function. We post flyers on the ground. We draw advertisements and notes on the sidewalk. Why? Aren't any walls available? No. It's because the students are walking around like this. Their perception is focused in this very narrow cone. They're looking at the ground, not paying attention to their surroundings. Worse yet, from today, it started snowing, and here's a student who's not only looking at the ground, but is doing this. These are amazing tools that can help you avoid an X or get you out of an X. Decisive, violent action if you need to. You put them in your pockets, you've just disarmed yourself. So walking around like this in the snow. Now, this comes back also to personal responsibility. What if this student didn't leave the dorm without gloves or a hat and could put those gloves and hat on and then walk around? Head up, not being weird like where's the threat, but just paying attention, knowing what's going on. This is South Dakota, Rapid City, but it could be anywhere in the world. Why do we need to pay attention? Let's go through a brief scenario. I'll be a professor, and professors are guilty of this too. In some cases, they're even worse. I'll be some professor on campus, and I'm just thinking about that problem I'm working on, and I'm really focused, and I just don't know what's going on. Whoa, okay. I had no idea she was there. I was a victim. Now, was she coming after me intentionally? Like she woke up that morning, I'm gonna go get Masterlark. No, but what if she's on campus or somewhere else and saying, I'm gonna get somebody's wallet or I'm gonna steal their phone? Is she gonna go after, let's do it again. Is she gonna go after this guy? Who makes eye contact walking by? Not threatening, but just aware? No. Just gonna look for an easy target, that easy target like this. Not paying attention, bam. Okay, so situational awareness, fundamental change. Adults, and well, not adults, but folks that are out of school as well as students, I try to emphasize this with my freshman students. Pay attention. Just pay attention to your surroundings. You don't have to do anything weird. The adjustment is this. That's it. And that one adjustment can turn you or change you from a victim into somebody who's just walking around and going about their business. Okay, what if you get caught on the X? So you can't just, maybe you can't just stand up and walk by and get away with. What if something really bad happens? You've got three options: run, hide, and fight. If you can run away. You know, maybe there's something bad over there and it's moving toward you. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's somebody who's got a weapon out there, brandishing some weapon or whatever. You can run away. Okay, that's an option. It's a great option. Gets you, you're not on the X, but it keeps you from getting on the X, and you're gone. Or you could take that run and then maybe hide somewhere. Okay, and that's okay too. But let's take a look at what fighting can do for you. And I want to look at the human body. So here's an example of a part of the human body. This is the nervous system. All these crazy looking nerves, and what do nerves do for you? They help you feel things. Okay, so you've got all these nerves and a spinal cord and this big dome of a brain here, but when you look at this figure, what really stands out? Those big old eyeballs, part of the nervous system. And the thing about, okay, nerves, they can sense that pain, they can sense good things, but they can sense bad things. These things really hate pain. They hate to be poked, they hate to be touched. So let's take a Bureau of Diplomatic Security approach and say, okay, we're in a bar. Well, we aren't a bar, but let's say we're in some foreign country in a bar. Okay, and I'm having a good time. I'm in a bar, minding my own business, hanging around, whatever. And then some local person doesn't like what I'm up to.
Hey, I think you're ugly. What are you doing? Get out of my bar.
Okay, I've got some options here. Can I run? No, she's right there. Okay, and she's very skilled, and so I'm going down. So running is not an option. Can I hide? I'm front and center. She can't miss me. So here it is, fight. Well, what if I don't fight? So, all right, here's my response. What does this do for me? Not yet. What does this do for me? Okay, well, you can do it. Okay, I'm now a victim. Okay, I simply opened myself up. Okay, but by doing this, what message am I sending? So you're an observer. What message am I sending? By going like this. I'm not a threat. Okay, so when the cops show up, okay, yeah, I may be on the ground and I'm a victim, but when the cops show up, and maybe they do it in a nice, timely way, such that they can stop it from anything further bad happening, they'll interview people and they'll say, no, Masterlark, he didn't want any part of that. His hands were up, right? He didn't. So okay, I'm not off to the foreign prison, which would be a bad thing. And she would be, which would be a bad thing for her. Okay, but let's revisit this, all right? So I'm minding my own business, in the bar, having a good time. And,
Hey, man, what are you doing in my bar?
Instead of this, okay, now as a bystander, you're like, okay, his hands are up. What if I make an adjustment and I'm going to rotate a little bit for safety purposes? And not you stay there, okay. But let's pretend I'm facing her. What if I make an adjustment? Tighten it up, my hands are still up, and rotate downward a little bit, okay. What message am I sending? Hands are up. From a bystander's, when the cop shows up, you'll say, well, he had his hands up. He didn't want any of that. But go back to this diagram. Look at those two big, beautiful, pain-sensing orbs. I can't think of a better position to be in than this right here. Now I'm rotated so I don't do the damage, but sprung steel, ready to go. One move, bap. Can't miss. Those orbs, you can't miss. Finger, you didn't see it because it happened so fast. Fingers extended, thumb out, at her face, one of these is going to connect. And when it connects, what do? From fight to run, maybe even, hide. And so now she's looking around, what happened? I'm out, I'm gone. Okay. Now, okay. So it sounds corny, but there it is. And again, coming back to the eyes. Terrible, terrible pain if you get hit in the eyes. This one move, this isn't like black belt karate or crazy, MMA fighting. This is one move. This guy, just violent, vicious, decisive. It bought me space. Am I going to win the fight? No. When she comes back, if I just stand here and say, okay, you want some more? I'm going to have it handed to me, and it's going to be bad. But it bought me the space so that I could exercise, run, or hide, or get off the X, which is the whole point. It's not about winning the fight. It's about having options, getting off the X. Now, I want to come back to this one single move. You don't have to, again, be expertly skilled. It's just one thing. All you got to remember, bam, that one thing, fingers extended. That's it. So coming back to the training, maybe you're doing some burpees, maybe you're doing some deadlifts that we'll come back to shortly. Maybe you're doing some push-ups. You do your set of push-ups. What do you need to practice this one thing? A mirror. You don't even need a mirror. You can just act like somebody's there, and you're trying to let your arms relax because you're doing all those push-ups or burpees, and just find that nice position with your hands up and just practice. Simple. One simple thing. Okay, the key is simple so that you don't have to spend your life focusing and making a career out of it. Okay, so option.
Before you go, there's one more piece.
Yes.
And it's where if I were to try and aim for your face when your hands are up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, so I'm like this. Hang tight, I'm going to do it in slow-mo. Okay, because I'm like this, look at her hands. Now, she's gunning for a fight, right? You're going to say to the police, look at her. She's got closed fists. She's going to do it. But look at her head. It's wide open. I can't miss, okay? But her, what are her options?
I have to.
I have to just, in fact, just to get it, for her to get a shot in between this is really hard. And especially if she's been drinking and there's adrenaline and there's excitement to hit that one small target. Is it possible? Yes, but unlikely. Okay. And again, if I can buy that time and just say, hey, wait, try to diffuse the situation. Hey, just wait a second. Pap, got it, done. And I'm out. Okay? Thank you. Okay, number one cause of death of college-age adults. What is it? Accidental, let's say accidental injury for college-age adults. I know for the general population, everyone, it's like heart disease or something. College-age, I'll call them kids, college-age kids, it's accidental injury. A significant component of that is things like head injuries. I can't mitigate that. I can't help. I'm not a specialist in brains and all that, except for those eyeballs. But I don't have the training or the time or the skill or the interest to pursue that. All right, so I can't help there, but there is a significant class of injuries bleeding from extremities. Arms, you slice an artery in your arm or your leg. Bleeding out from an extremity. Still a significant cause of death in college-age kids. Accidents happen. So how can you mitigate this problem? Okay, now the X becomes a medical situation. You can't just, well, you could just ignore it and say, you're on your own if you see that, but ethically, you need to try to help that person. So we can do that and mitigate it with a tourniquet. The simple, dead simple tourniquet. 20 years of hot wars in the Middle East have told us that this simple device can save lives, many, many lives. Bleeding out was the number one cause of death of all those injuries. Now, it's in a war zone, but nonetheless, they had a lot of practice and a lot of research in how effective these things can be. So who is the scout? The scout again, yes. Okay, what did they tell you about tourniquets?
Well, at the time it was, don't do them, they're too dangerous. But knowing what I know now in my career field, you can have a tourniquet on up to 2 hours.
Yeah. You should come up here. No, look, Dead on. It's a 180. When I was a kid, I was a Boy Scout, and for reference, I was a tenderfoot for 5 years. But anyway, okay, tourniquets. Look, if you use a tourniquet, it's a sentence to an amputation. That was the message. So don't do it. Okay. Between then and now, several decades, the medical science has done a 180 on it, and a tourniquet is really the first option for bleeding out. And as you correctly mentioned, you can put on a tourniquet. If a tourniquet's put on, you're shutting off the blood, and it can be on for up to 2 hours before you really have to start worrying about risks of damage because of that tourniquet. What's the response time for a 911 call? When you call 911 right now, how long is it going to take for cops or EMTs to get here? Yeah, rapid, or frankly, anywhere else. 4? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I was going to say about 12. In a nationwide scope, it's about 12 minutes. It takes 3 minutes to bleed out. So if you have some injury in your arm and it's squirting blood, you've got 3 minutes from when that injury occurred. So when you come across someone, if you were there right when it happened, you got 3 minutes. But you likely came across them after it happens, you're running out of time. Okay, so you can call 911 and just let them take care of their business, but the likelihood of them getting there in time is rapidly slipping away. So, all right, tourniquet deployment. So this isn't brain science, brain surgery, rocket science. It's a tourniquet. All it is a device. It's a strap that you tighten around an extremity, an arm or a leg, and you tighten it up tight enough, it creates enough pressure, it shuts off the blood supply. You can, now don't do this, well, you can do it, it doesn't matter. Do it as an experiment. If you take your thumb and push on the inside of your upper arm and just hold it there for a while, you shut off your blood supply and your arm will start to tingle. So you can actually, it's not hard to shut off the blood. Now don't hold it for 2 hours or else you're going to have a problem. But the point is, what if you do shut off the blood? You've got 2 hours before it becomes a problem. That's time to call 911, to get some EMTs there, to even drive the person to a hospital or wherever you need to be. So it buys time. Now you need to be a trained person to take this thing off. Once it's on, you leave it, and we'll talk about that shortly. But nonetheless, this is something that all of you can do after a little bit of training. You'll be able to put on a tourniquet successfully. There are a couple simple rules, and we'll go through them.
And can I just point out that we keep one of these in our vehicles. I have one that I carry with me in my purse or my coat at all times. Tim has one in his backpack. So these are lightweight, they're very small, they're inexpensive, they're only, what, $30
Yeah.
a piece? $30 a piece, and they could very well save a life. So of all, if there's ever a piece that you take away from our talk tonight, and I hope you take away a lot of pieces, this is a really easy one, and it's a life-saving measure that you can just stash around in your everyday life.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so this is a wound simulator. So it looks like it's an ugly sort of a wound. I have a couple of these, and they're in I use them in my laboratory for freshman students. So these freshmen get training on how to do this, and it just fits up over her arm. Let me put this on. Sorry. Okay, put it on there, and then this strap is going around here under your arm, over the top, and we'll clip it in, and we'll tighten it up. That doesn't hurt, does it?
Not a tourniquet.
Okay. No. Okay. So what we're looking at is a piece of hose. Okay, it's a little rubber hose that goes down through here, and then it goes into this ugly-looking rubber thing, and there's an outlet. So it simulates an external bleeding situation. Now, for training students, it's not real blood, but it has the real live viscosity, and it has that impact. And so we go out on the quad, and we'll do it with this stuff, and it makes it more realistic. But because I don't want to be on the cleanup duty here, and they have a nice rug, we're just going to use water. But the point is, this simulates a wound. Now, it's a little hard to see, but there'll be some water that squirts out. Oh, look at that. Okay, bleeding. All right. Now, the way this is designed, if you would hold on to this, All right, the way this is designed is that if you put enough pressure on it, it simulates the artery in your arm, and you squeeze it off, and you can imagine you'll shut off the blood. So the way this works with a tourniquet,
Trying to keep the water away from you.
because that'd be an X.
Angela would appreciate that.
Yeah, and that'd be a real X. Yeah, okay, so the tourniquet, so it's a strap. There's different types, but the new ones are more or less all very similar. It's a strap with some Velcro, and the idea is you're gonna put it on, tighten it up as much as you can with the Velcro, and then it has this thing called a windlass that you spin it around and it tightens it up even more. Okay, so I'm going to put this tourniquet on the order of maybe 2 inches above the wound. Okay, it's bleeding. Oh my gosh, it's bleeding. I'm going to tighten it up as much as I can with this Velcro. Still bleeding? Yeah, okay. Tighten it up with the Velcro. Now, it's still bleeding. All right, I'm going to turn this windlass tighter. Tighter. Okay, I hook it into the little C-clamp. I take the end on this so it's not hanging off. We don't want that going anywhere. Velcro it. Now it's nice and tight. There's a little piece of Velcro here that I put over the top so none of this can come apart. And if I have a pen, if somebody have a pen? Does anyone have a pen? No, you don't have to. Okay, I would say, I need a pen, please, thank you. And I'd write the time on here for that 2-hour concept. There it is. Okay, is it pretty? Nope. Did it work? Yep. Now we got 2 hours to get her to someone who knows what they're doing, to do whatever needs to be done to not only stop the bleeding, but take this off. A couple of rules. So it needs to be about 2 inches above the wound. You want to put the windlass. You notice the windlass was here where I could get it operated easily. I didn't put the windlass on the inside of her arm where I couldn't get under it. We write the time on here to make sure, so we know and we can track our 2 hours. And you never take this off. We don't take it off. The professionals take it off. Okay, now, this thing, this wound simulator, does it hurt? No, okay, but if you had this wound, would it hurt? What would you be doing?
Screaming.
Screaming and probably punching me and,
away from you,
okay.
yes.
So the final rule is once it's on, you gotta make sure it stays on. So you don't just put it on and then just say, I'm out and walking away, because she'll take it off. This sort of thing, if it's this bad, it hurts. And she might want to take this off even though it's, not in her best interest. So leave it on, that's it. Now what happens if this tourniquet didn't work? And I didn't stop the bleeding. So I'm not allowed to do this, but I'm going to do this for illustration purposes. What happens if I did a crummy job? Go ahead. Oh, and it's still bleeding, and I put my tourniquet on and it didn't work. What do? Well, a second tourniquet. A second tourniquet, another inch above this one. Same process, except this time I learned my lesson, try to make it tighter and 2. Okay. Don't take that one off and try to reposition it. You use a second one. Okay. So a couple of things. Tighten up the Velcro. Tighten up the windlass. Make sure there's no hanging straps. Make sure it's all nice and tidy. Write the time on it. And then stay with her until help arrives. And make sure she gets to help within 2 hours. What happens if you don't get to help within 2 hours? Is she going to die? No. But the risks for other things happening start going up. So 2 hours, no problem. It's been found that these things are good for on the order of a day with young people who are in shape, and things can be just fine. But 2 hours is the limit of what we like to work with. Okay. You folks think you could do it? If I gave you a tourniquet and we have the wound simulator, could you do it? You're cringing. That means, will you try it? No?
How about afterwards?
Afterwards?
Okay.
Will you try it? Okay, here you go. All right, now, she just got injured. Look at it. No, don't spray us with your blood. Okay, you got 3 minutes. She's bleeding out. This is the test. Okay, so, and make sure it's not twisted. Good, about 2 inches above. No.
You twisted it. I untwisted
First the Velcro.
it. No, I was untwisting it because you had it twisted.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna put this over the safety device, otherwise it is gonna hurt real bad. Okay, so tighten it as much as you can with the Velcro, good, and then fold it, make it stick, perfect. Now tighten. Still bleeding? Still bleeding? Oh, still bleeding? Still bleeding?
There we go.
Okay, and then put it in the C-strap, stick it in there. This strap comes over the top, like that, perfect. And then that goes over the top. Get your friend with the pen, write the number down. You just saved a life.
High five.
Well done. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. All right, I don't want to belabor that. We'll stick around afterwards if you want to try this out because it really, oh, sorry. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
So my physical geology students buy a laboratory manual and some colored pencils and some other things and a tourniquet in the bookstore. So they're all trained how to do this in that class before they leave. Thank you, Scyller. Okay. So now I want to finish out with a topic. In part it's leadership. So what happens if something happens? What happens if something goes wrong? And why don't you, lay on the ground, okay. Oh, all right. She's injured, she's bleeding. I probably should have put that, let's have you put this back on. Yep. Sorry, order of operations. I'll let you work on that whilst I'm talking, or do you need help?
No, I think I've got it.
Okay, so she's bleeding, she's on the ground. I don't know how long she's been there. And all of you lot, you're all just gawking, okay? So my job, my responsibility, first one on the site who's paying attention, I'm the leader. This is my show. You are all my team to the best of my ability to convince you to participate. So what am I gonna do? The first thing I'm gonna do when I see you there, you, call 911. Call 911. Okay, don't do it, but I'm going to be on you until you do it. Okay, that's my job. If he's like, oh, I don't want to do it, well, you know, I don't have time to convince. I've got 3 minutes. Okay, I'm going to be on you. We need decisive, vicious phone dialing. Call 911. While you're doing that, essential to get those EMTs or whoever it is here to help us out. Okay, that's part of the leadership. All right, the other part is, where is she? Well, all right, physically right now we're on a stage, but what if it was some accident and she's stuck in a road, okay? Maybe she got hit by a car or something, I don't know. But she's conscious and she's bleeding all over the place and this is the problem and she's wiggling around. She's like, this really hurts. Okay, all right, what do I need to do? I need to get her off the X. You don't want to be in a road, and if I put a tourniquet on her while she's in the road, well, now I'm in the road, and now we might have two problems, okay? So what are we going to do? We need to get her off the X. We need to pick her up. This is where those deadlifts come in, okay? She's not that heavy, but humans, if you're a parent and you've seen those kids, they weigh about, 30 pounds, but when they don't want to be picked up, 30 pounds of jelly, really hard to pick up. People don't have handles on them. How do you pick them up? Okay, so you can hop up now. So you need to get your volunteer. Okay, so now I'm the person, we're going to switch. You need to get your volunteer.
All right, may I have a volunteer? Yep, there you go, come on up. Am I still bleeding out?
It's okay, all right.
Can I take this off?
Keep it on just for a second. Okay, I'm bleeding and all this. I'm in the road, and you checked. Okay, there's a break in traffic. What are you going to do? How are you going to get me out of this position, and to say maybe over there is safe? What are you going to do?
Bleeding from where?
My arm.
Your right arm?
Yeah.
You want the road is here?
Yeah. So this is the road.
Over here.
Maybe that's safe over there.
So,
Just say it, you don't have to do it, just how would you?
I'm going to drag him, I guess.
Yep.
Go for it. Oh, I don't know. You going to grab me by the feet? You're not going to do a fireman carry, are you?
No, I'm going to drag you.
Okay. All right. Oh. Yeah, okay, that's okay, that's perfect, thank you. Okay, no, thanks. And
Yes, well done.
thank you. That's not what I was expecting, but that's okay. That's okay. Usually what happens is I get somebody grabs me by the feet and my head's bopping along the floor, which satisfies the requirement of getting me off the X. But what happened here? Okay, so you're dragging me, you're walking backwards, maybe there's a curb there, you can't see what's going on. It worked, but is there a better way? And that's the question. No, and I'm not asking you that. You satisfy the requirement. Well done. So you can, let's have you sit down. Thank you. Okay. All right. But what's a better way? Well, remember, people don't, you made handles on me, okay, but people generally don't have handles. So what's another way to pick them up? So hop on the ground. This is where that deadlift comes into play. All right. And so what I'm going to do is this is going to be a multi-step approach, but we're going to start here. I'm looking around, situational awareness. All right, braking traffic, we're in the road. Okay, we're good. I'm going to pick her shoulders up, a violent, decisive action, get her sitting up, pop my knee in her back. With this now I can look around, make sure there's no new threat. We're still good. Okay. I'm going to reach under her arms, under her arm, under her arm. I'm going to get into a deadlift position. Here's that deadlift. The strongest lift you can do is the deadlift. Humans can, if you watch the strongman competitions, but when they lift the heaviest, it's a deadlift. So this is a deadlift. Stick my butt out, looking up, and hoist. Okay, she does have handles, and now like this, I can sort of look to the side. I can drag her across the street, no problem. Okay. Okay. To safety. That's the whole point. Okay. All right, but there's still a bit of a problem here. I'm going backwards, and I still can't see the situation. Is there a better way? So let's come back to this leadership. I need another volunteer. Someone want to come up? Oh, someone's got to come up. Yeah, okay, come on up. Come on up. Okay. So now we got two people. Okay, so now we got some options. All right, remember, some things that aren't working is, okay, it's kind of clunky. It's one person, you got to sort of work them around. The gentleman who came up, he nailed it by picking me up, walking backwards, which is better than nothing, but he really can't see where he's going. Okay, can we do a better job? So with two people, all right, do you mind if he does okay, so we're going to have you pick up the front, or pick up her top. Okay, just like I did, so lift her shoulders up, and then stick your knee in her back, okay? Okay, now your hands are free, right? You can do anything, your hands are free. Okay, so now you're gonna reach under her armpits to grab her forearms, yep, pull them in, now you got handles. Okay, and you get in that good deadlift position. Okay, are you okay with that? Okay, what am I gonna do? I'm just standing around giving orders? No, I'm gonna pick up her legs. Right? That'll make it even easier. All right, let's do it. Ready? And up. Okay, so now we're moving, and we'll set her down gently. Okay, thank you. Perfect, but stay here. What do you notice? Okay, this is better because now he can't see where he's going, but I got a good field of vision here. Okay, but what if we do one more modification? And this is magic. One more modification, where we're going to do exactly the same thing, except this time, we're going to move her over here, okay? And we're going to do it in a way such that your hands are occupied, but I'll have a free hand. A free hand meaning now I have a hand that's freely available to maybe open the door, to maybe get us into or out of a building, or maybe hold a flashlight, or maybe hold a weapon, if it's that kind of situation. But nonetheless, with one simple modification, so get her in that good chicken wing position, please. Okay, the magic is this. I'm going to take this leg and cross it and then grab the cuff right here. Something that never occurred to me before I went into this training, and it was quite genius. Now, you ready? Let's go. I got a free hand, I got a flashlight, I can open doors, I can pick locks, I can climb a ladder, I can do all kinds of things. Okay, I'm walking in the right direction so I can see whilst carrying her. I can see all the way around. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. But this comes back to that concept of active leadership. You're the one on site. This is your team. Whoever's there, they're just gawking. It's your responsibility to put them to work in a way to mitigate that X, whether it's run, hide, or fight. In this case, you know, the fight part was to fight to get her off the X. Okay, it's vicious and decisive, but it worked. And now maybe then once she's off, then we'll run the tourniquet and do whatever else needs to be done. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So, Dr. Borglum.
So what all this adds up to is an equation. It's a function of how we live. We have our habits, we have our family, we have our careers, we have our education, and we have our friends. We know that those are the good things in life that we want to develop, that we want to work on, maintain, or improve. But the X is where the bad things happen. And unfortunately, in some form or fashion, we're all going to have an X in our life. So how we work and train for all these other attributes will inform how we handle that X.
Okay. In standard professor approach, I had a slide that said, questions. Right, okay. And Scyller, being the vice president at an engineering firm, said, no, you need a call to action. And so a call to action, go forth, go explore these primal skills, go look it up, go find out for yourself a few, I'll call them big adjustments, okay? These are important. In that sense, they're big, but they have big impacts. And they're not going to be like you're going to have to spend your whole life focusing on this. It's not like you don't have to learn to be a black belt in Taekwondo or something like that. It's just a few simple but important changes that can really potentially have a huge impact on your life. And talk to other people about it, about various aspects here, and maybe you can impact their life as well. So at this point, we'll stop for questions. And you had a question, sir.
But you don't want to move that victim unless you absolutely have to, correct? Because
Yeah.
even when you use your more sophisticated carry, that head is not supported. So if she
Yeah.
had a neck fracture, you just paralyzed her. If you moved your ass, it was absolutely necessary, correct?
Yep. And look, so it's you have to be smart about it, but also the situation is, well, she's going to bleed out in 3 minutes. What are you going to do? I'd move her. But
I tell you about me? If any of you are accidentally dismembered tonight, I have recent experience, and if you'll let me tell you about it.
please do.
So I'm on that section of highway between Gunnison and Montrose, Colorado, middle of the day, in broad daylight. And if you know that section, it's very twisty along the Blue Mesa Reservoir there. After this accident, the Colorado state spent $60 million to make that road safer. But I came up on a semi-tractor trailer that was parked crosswise in the road, no other cars around and no cars coming, and a catatonic driver in it. And I walked up and there was a mostly destroyed Harley-Davidson road king motorcycle and a guy laying there. And I walked up to him and he said, "Is that my leg over there?" And I said, "Yes, sir, it is." And then I did the math. It was going to take at least an hour for an ambulance, take another hour to life flight him to where they could actually help him at Grand Junction. And I thought, I have about 2 minutes to figure this out. And so like they taught me in Boy Scouts, you touch the victim and speak to him, and he was wearing a $400 helmet, so he was conscious and talking.
Yeah.
And I said, I knelt down and touched him, and I said, "I need a belt." And a belt came over my shoulder that was perfect, and I ran it up just like they taught me in Boy Scouts, and I said, "I need a stick." And somebody gave me that perfect little stick, and I ran it up, and the bleeding stopped.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, Dale, it looks like you might have a chance of getting out of this. And he was life flighted out, and I did exactly what you're saying, situational awareness. And then here's the part that I probably would share if I could, and that's that after 3 hours of clearing the wreck, State Patrolman from Montrose came, and people wanted to know what to do. So I said, he has a broken shoulder, you get some ice,
Yeah.
you create a sun shield so that he doesn't heat up,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera. The state patrolman came up to the window of the car and he said, where'd you go to medical school? How long have you been a doctor?
No, that's what you did, well, in spades. You looked at the situation, you made the call, and you made it happen. I would call that pure success. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing that story. Other questions or comments? Yes?
How many students have you had being when that big blood comes out?
None. Look, okay, part of the first time I did this, I got back last year in the spring, and I tried this for the first time, not knowing how it would, do I have to give them trigger warnings or what's going on? They dove right in. They loved it. It was very different. So we were out on the quad, and so there was a news piece about it, and they're carrying people, and they were really having a good time. So we started working on, okay, well, how can we confound the situation a little bit? Meaning, with the leadership, you've got one person trying to make things happen. What happens if I took a student aside and I said, I want you to get in there and act like, you're a know-it-all, and telling them to stop because, this is bad news or whatever. Just be a problem. Fellow walked in there, and the woman who was the leader, literally, you get out of here. You're not helping. So that was, I was surprised to see that, but they engaged and they really appreciated it. So far, it's been a success. Yeah. Yes.
Was it an easy place to acquire the tourniquets?
The SDSMT bookstore. So if you Google tourniquet, there's several, but this is a Gen, I think it's a Gen 5 Cat 7. Whatever the military is using right now, you can find that out. It's not hard. There's more than one kind. They're all doing more or less the same thing. But if you really want to get it correct, find one that has an NSN number, that the military uses to order, and then you've got the correct one for sure.
And if it comes in plastic, take it out of the plastic before you store it in your car. Because trying to get anything out of plastic on a good day, no.
That was one of the learning experiences from the first time around. I had some students, I didn't tell them to take the plastic off, and so, they came around a corner, there was a victim, they were assessed on how they responded, and they had the tourniquet in the plastic, and they're picking, and can't get it done. The 3 minutes are up. So learning experience, yeah. Other questions? Yes?
I think it's told that he didn't have that. He didn't have that.
Yeah.
That tourniquet in the plastic.
Yeah.
Backpack here for the car. He has help. And you might need to improvise.
Yep.
And you use what you have, obviously. And if you have a $30 tourniquet in your backpack, great. But if you don't, use pressure.
Yeah, well,
Arm over the
Yeah.
heart,
no, you do what you need to do, and I mentioned you can do this to cut it off, and you could, you're gonna have to hold it there, but then, you don't have anything better to do, but you can improvise if necessary. The reason I like these is because they are inexpensive, and it is the right tool for the job. But you're right, and as you demonstrated, it can be done.
That's the first thing the first responders said when they walked up, is the tourniquet hold? And then 50 minutes of holding that, and when I stood up, I was not even slightly stiff or sore or no discomfort at all. I was squatting there and holding that for 50 minutes.
Yeah. So, yes?
So kind of two-part, we've all taken, there's a lot of us that had CPR and the AED, and why is tourniquet used not a part of the Red Cross CPR?
So at Mines, 1 year they offered first aid training, and it was 80%, 90% CPR, and I don't know. This will save a life. It It doesn't take a lot of training. It doesn't require you to keep training over and over again. It's dead simple. CPR, you need, that's a perishable skill. You've got to keep working on that to get it right. The answer to your question is, I don't know.
I think it's a mental shift because everyone in our generation and older grew up believing, not just thinking, but believing that a tourniquet was absolutely the worst possible thing you could do. You only do it as a last resort, and even then, you really shouldn't. So it's a complete shift. It's 180 degrees in our thinking, and I believe it'll take a little bit of time for that to percolate down through the general population. Tim and I were out at a Box Elder city celebration a couple of years ago, and the police officers were out there training everybody who came through on how to use a tourniquet and keep a tourniquet in their car and where they could order them online. So small inroads are being made, but it takes people like all of you to help get out there and evangelize and do your research and own it.
Well, and I want to emphasize that the tourniquet and that training, that's, again, one piece of what we're trying to convey this evening. It was the whole concept of the primal skills and the run, hide, fight. Don't get too caught up on this. It's but one piece.
What is the latest training you have to do in emergency tracheotomy?
Now so with state, they sent me to Blackstone, and then we put the nasal tubes in. That's as far as we had to go. But that's, again, something you have to, it's not the same. I know I'm not answering your question, but it opens the airway. You go through the March process, massive hemorrhage. A is air. That's number 2. But again, that one's perishable, so I'm not going to try to push that on students.
So what happened that are you a geologist?
Yes.
So what happened that got you going down this road that had the presentation and then down and also a book?
It was that, so from my side, it was that fellowship that was so.
Who was here with?
Oh.
Were you here at the very, very beginning? It's okay if you weren't. Okay. I
Oh.
don't think she knew about that.
No, that's, yeah, then that's a very, very good question. I'm going to go back, hold on one second. Bam. Okay. Jefferson Science Fellowship. So as a professor at Mines, I applied for this fellowship, and I got it. And it took me to Washington, D.C., and it was run by the National Academies, and they paired me with the Department of State, and I was placed in the Bureau of Diplomatic Security. And the agents that I was working with put me through their training. And they wanted to know risk assessments, if you will, but what they wanted, it was, you're a professor, we teach classes, we want to put you through the training. And then once I went through the training as a student, now understand I'm 54 years old at the time, and I took a beating because these folks are 20 and 30 years old. But once I got done with the training, then they wanted my input as an instructor. How can we better assess things? Okay, so I ended up going through this training that took me to some types of training that were really quite violent in nature, but impactful. And I took this mindset, the mindset you need to get through this type of training, to bring it back to the students at Mines. So that's where this comes from. Yeah.
And then the book is one that's been an accumulation of my experiences. So I started out over 20 years ago, just honestly thinking I would do a bachelor's of international business. I would go get some job and work until I retired, and I didn't think much more than that. And a series of events happened, woman makes plans, God laughs. And I ended up with 5 post-secondary degrees, which was 4 more than I ever thought I was going to do. And along the way, I made every conceivable mistake, and I also had the privilege of tutoring and mentoring younger students who were also coming into STEM. And I thought, why have all of these students learn these lessons from scratch when I could put them in a book and maybe advance their skills a good 5 years, and then they could start off at a much better place than I did. So I wrote the book that I wished somebody had handed me when I went back to school to study engineering. Yep.
What's the name of your book?
The working title is Study Habits. We'll see if my publisher lets me keep that. So it's on everything from how you develop habits and how you create and maintain good habits and dispel bad habits to the actual mechanics of how do you study for math classes? How do you study for science classes? How do you edit your own paper so you turn in something that's respectable? How do you actually put together a homework assignment that you can know you're proud of and is a good template for when you're going off into maybe industry as a graduate? I talk about the life skills in there because everything we do as STEM professionals requires the very best of our brain. It really is what sets us apart, but that requires an entire way of living and doing things well, and so that's what the book is about.
Any other questions? If you want to stick around and put on a tourniquet, you can. Well, no, it's dead simple, but it's kind of fun.
Doctor, if I may, there's a nationwide organization called Stop the Bleed.
Yep.
You might want to look, whoever may not live in the area or live in the area, may want to look up where the next class is if you're interested.
Yep. So they have a video that they developed during COVID, and I play that video at the front end of the lab where we teach this stuff. I know that great resource. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Just want to say thanks to everybody for coming tonight. Thank you to those of you who attended on Zoom as well. STEAM Cafe happens every third Tuesday. So next month, the third Tuesday is April 18th, right here again at 6 p.m. And next month's presentation is from Dr. Bryce Tellman, who's in our Humanities and Social Sciences department. He is going to talk about one of the first radio stations in the Northern Plains that started broadcasting in 1922 in Montana, and how that kind of brought the region together, and very different from tonight, but should be interesting. So thank you for coming. Stick around if you want to learn how to use a tourniquet.